June 8, 793. Sister Aldred crouches in the darkness of the grain storage, her lungs burning with dust, her heart hammering against her ribs. Through the cracks in the wooden walls, she watches warriors moving through Lindisfarne Monastery with the efficiency of farmers at harvest time. But they are not harvesting grain. They are sorting human beings. Her friend Bridget, whose auburn hair caught the morning sun during prayers just an hour ago, is being dragged by that same hair toward the beach where strange ships wait in the mist. The Vikings are dividing the women into groups, and Sister Aldred, who has spent 12 years in peaceful devotion to God, is about to discover that beauty in captivity is not a blessing but a curse beyond imagination. What happened next on that holy island would become a template for 3 centuries of systematic horror, an architecture of female suffering so elaborate that Arab chroniclers, Byzantine historians, and European monks would all agree they had witnessed something unprecedented in human cruelty. A hand plunges into the grain beside her. Fingers close around her arm. The warrior who pulls Sister Aldred into the light has eyes as blue as winter ice and smells of salt and blood. He says something in a language that sounds like rocks grinding together, then shoves her toward a growing line of captives. Within minutes, she and 40 other women are being forced into the belly of a long ship, crowded into a space meant for half their number. There is no food for the first 2 days. Water comes only when waves crash over the side, and the women learn to lick the salt moisture from wood that countless others have licked before them. The journey from Lindisfarne to Norway takes 11 days, and by the 5th day, 2 women have died. Their bodies are thrown overboard without ceremony, disappearing into dark water as if they had never existed at all. When the ships finally reach Norway, the real nightmare begins. The raid leader walks slowly between the rows of captured women, using a staff to lift their chins and turn their faces toward the light. He is inspecting his property. Sister Aldred goes to a farmer named Gunnar who needs field workers. She watches Bridget being led away toward the chieftainess hall and thinks her friend's fate must be better. She is wrong. 20 years later, Aldred will die in Norway with her hands destroyed by decades of grinding grain, her back permanently bent from carrying impossible loads. She will never learn what happened to Bridget, though she will hear rumors through the networks that enslaved women develop in whispers and stolen moments. Bridget lasted 3 months in the chieftain's hall before being sold to a trader heading east, and from there she vanished into the vast Viking slave networks that stretched from Iceland to Constantinople. But on that first morning in Norway, as the division of human property begins in earnest, none of them yet understand the true scope of what the Vikings have created. If stories like this fascinate you, if you want to understand the hidden truths that history tried to bury, consider subscribing to this channel. Hit that like button and help us bring these forgotten voices back from the darkness, because some stories demand to be told no matter how uncomfortable they make us. And these women deserve to be remembered. In the year 970, at the Althing in Iceland, the law speaker stands on a rock platform and recites from memory the section of GRG's law concerning female thralls. His voice carries across the gathered assembly as he speaks words refined over generations to completely erase female humanity within legal frameworks. A thrall woman's body belongs entirely to her master. She cannot refuse any use of her person. Her children belong to her master. She cannot own property. She cannot bear witness in law. She exists outside all legal protection except as her master's possession. These are not abstractions, but daily realities for thousands of women across the Norse world, a state of living death where they exist physically but have no legal existence as persons. The case being tried illustrates the system with brutal clarity. Thorstein Redbeard has killed his neighbor's female thrall named Asa during a dispute over field boundaries. The woman was caught between them when Thorstein struck with an axe. The legal question is not murder but property damage. The judgment requires Thorstein to pay replacement value, 8 marks of silver for a woman of approximately 20 years who could weave no additional punishment, no consideration of the life ended, simply a commercial transaction to compensate for destroyed assets. Asa had been captured in Ireland 5 years earlier. She had learned Norse, adapted to Iceland's brutal climate, developed exceptional skill in weaving that made her valuable. She had even borne 2 children who now served in the same household. None of this matters legally. Her death is recorded in the same manner as the loss of sheep in a storm. The laws go further still. Masters can lend female thralls to guests as hospitality gestures. Refusing such use is not legally possible. The woman becomes a temporary gift passed between men like cups of mead, and any children resulting from such arrangements automatically become the property of the woman's owner regardless of who the father might be. Ragnhild experiences this system when her master hosts 5 chieftains to discuss a raiding alliance. For 1 week, she is passed among the guests nightly. By the meeting's end, she is pregnant. 9 months later, she gives birth to a son whose father could be any of 6 men. The child is nobody's son and everybody's property. raised as a slave with no identity beyond his mother's servitude. In Dublin's massive slave market, Princess Orlath stands naked on a platform 15 feet high, her royal lineage now merely a selling point to increase her price. The year is 852, and Dublin has transformed from an Irish settlement into the Vikings' western headquarters for human trafficking. The auctioneer describes her qualities in 4 languages to Byzantine merchants, Moorish traders, Norse settlers, and Irish collaborators who profit from their own people's suffering. The bidding reaches 24 marks of silver, paid by a trader who specializes in moving high-value women along the eastern routes. Orlath will travel through Sweden, down Russian rivers, and eventually reach Baghdad, where her pale skin and red hair will make her an exotic curiosity. She will never see Ireland again. The system the Vikings created was not simple slavery but something far more calculated, an industrial-scale machinery of suffering that would not be matched until the Atlantic slave trade 7 centuries later. They had turned human harvest into a science, and the wives and daughters of their defeated enemies were the crop. The women of Lindisfarne, the Irish princesses, the Frankish noblewomen, all of them learned the same terrible truth. In the Viking world, survival itself could become a punishment worse than death. What do you think drove these women to endure? Could you have survived what they survived? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because these voices from the darkness deserve to echo into our present day.